Hi everybody! I hope you're doing super duper well. My name is Jashri. I've been making videos on this channel since December 2021, and I've never filmed myself talking to you before. It's not something I have a lot of experience doing in general, so I was a little intimidated to even begin, but I thought there's no time like the present to learn a new skill, so that's what I wanted to try and do today. I'm not saying I'm abandoning my old style at all, I just wanted to diversify. So I do have a video essay for you today, and I'm going to be talking you through it. I have my script in front of me, which is what I'm looking at right now, and I will also show you clips to substantiate what I'm saying. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So, for today's video, I wanted to talk about a slow trend that I've observed in the spiritual entertainment space in India. Spiritual entertainment, for lack of a better term. So far, I've talked about the tendency for the industry to take creative liberties with scriptural material to present fresh takes on spiritual stories, but I haven't discussed changes in cinematography. So, let's talk about that now. Now, I'm not the first person to bring this up. Several people on YouTube have discussed the cinematography and VFX in the upcoming Ramayan and newly released Krishnavataram film, so I'm going to do my best to add to the online discourse. Specifically, I'd like to talk about trends in how spiritual entertainment has been filmed over the years and its relationship to audience reception and overall longevity. To start off, India has a long history of producing spiritual entertainment focused on specific deities, saints, stories, or time periods. Over time, Indian appetite for spiritual entertainment hasn't abated. Rather, younger and younger generations continue to appreciate spiritual content in their own ways, such as interacting with spiritual content on social media or even in person. I don't know if you've heard of this trend called bhajan clubbing, but it looks really interesting. Basically, people jam out to bhajans, and I believe these events tend to be dry, meaning they don't serve alcohol there. It looks pretty interesting. That's what I mean by in-person stuff. But anyway, just like secular entertainment, spiritual shows and films have always tried to adapt themselves to the needs and artistic preferences of the latest generation. However, I believe that this process of adaptation is tricky, which we've talked about before. Scriptural content is sacred, and any changes made to how it's depicted can have profound effects on the Indian population. Many of us are hungry for this content and are eager to learn from it, and as a result, we want to believe in the veracity and the integrity of spiritual shows and films. But beyond offering accurate or thematically consistent scriptural adaptations, spiritual shows and films provide an important service to the Indian public in that it allows us to clearly picture our favorite deities in our minds and worship them more easily. So, as a result, spiritual shows and films have a great responsibility to evoke the essential bhav or inner feeling in the viewer. I believe that the ability of a spiritual show or film to generate deep feelings of devotion and meditation is the single most important indicator of its quality and predictor of its longevity. Furthermore, I believe that over time, spiritual entertainment has trended away from techniques that generate this bhav in Indian viewers, which has negatively impacted audience receptivity and longevity. As I've mentioned to you on this channel, I tend to use one framework to judge the quality of entertainment, secular or spiritual. Writing is the most important thing, followed by acting, music, and then cinematography or visuals. Cinematography is the process by which visual elements such as lighting, camera movement, and framing depict a story, including its events, emotions, and symbolism. Now, editing and music play key roles in this overall process, so I'll bring those up too. In secular entertainment, cinematography has evolved to reflect advances in technology, such as cameras, VFX, and editing software, and viewers' appreciation for fast paced filming, in which shots rapidly change using different camera angles, and sound mixes become more layered and complex using audio software. Now, we could discuss whether viewers actually want fast paced entertainment or whether entertainers think that they need to make entertainment look like this for us to pay attention. Research finds that overuse of digital devices shrinks our attention spans and impairs our mental health. But is fast paced entertainment the solution or simply fuel for greater addiction to mindless short form content? Let's put that aside for now, but let me know what you think about the shift in entertainment toward short, fast paced styles. I personally find it a bit dizzying. I don't love it, but I think that fast paced entertainment is suited to certain genres like thrillers or mysteries, but is less suited for dramas or romance, which we will get to a little bit here. Since the 1910s, Indian spiritual entertainment has evolved across several attributes: target audiences and intent, program length and format, and use and sophistication of physical sets and digital VFX. Across spiritual shows and films over time, these attributes have fluctuated in response to generational and technological shifts. However, certain projects are estimated to have accumulated the most views, combining live premieres, rebroadcasts, and streaming. Ramanan Sagar's Ramayan and Sri Krishna in 1987 and 1993, respectively, B.R. Chopra's Mahabharat in 1988, and Devon Ki Dev Mahadev in 2011. I will say that I couldn't find one dedicated site that showed me the actual viewing numbers across these shows across time. That would have been really interesting to find. So I am a bit guesstimating based on Googling that I did. But assuming this is true, why these shows? Why were these shows necessarily the most popular ones over all time? Obviously, they're not identical. They focus on different deities and have distinct tones, but I believe they have a few things in common that explains their extraordinary popularity. The most notable thing they have in common is that they're extremely effective at delivering teachings because of their ability to engender devotion and prepare the mind for meditation. To start off, I think these shows have clearly been created for the right reasons: to teach the masses about spiritual teachings, thereby meeting Indian viewers' core expectations for watching. To that end, creators have treated these shows differently from secular entertainment by applying high levels of sobriety or seriousness to the foundational components of these shows. The writing, acting, and music for each of these programs are precise, heartfelt, and thematically aligned with the scriptures. I believe these attributes have fundamentally driven their success. But here's another differentiator: cinematography. The camera shots and editing of these programs have also supported their ability to teach us. Specifically, the camera tends to linger on characters' faces to allow viewers to glean as much as possible from their facial expressions and stillness. Additionally, camera shots tend to be long, and transitions like dissolves and zoom ins and outs are slow, further enabling viewers to experience inner stillness and the profundity of God's state. All of this helps us believe we're beholding God and having His darshan. Now, for the last few years, the Indian entertainment industry has delivered or announced adaptations of the Ramayan or Lord Krishna stories that appear to deviate from one or more of the aforementioned components. To some, the writing in certain films or shows feels thematically misaligned with the scriptures, or the acting feels off. But I've observed a broader trend in cinematography that I believe has contributed to lower levels of audience receptivity. They're fast and flashy. Editors cut more often between camera angles and add modern transitions to add dramatic flair. And producers place greater emphasis on settings and costumes than ever before. Like, why does Radha live in a palace? Her family milks cows for a living. I wouldn't imagine that's very lucrative. How do they afford this real estate? Is no one else asking these questions? And I want to be clear, the aforementioned attributes aren't inherently bad, and no one film or show is responsible for them. Rather, these changes are part of a common industry effort to attract broader audiences to spiritual shows and films. But the modernization of spiritual cinematography comes with risks. For example, projects that make heavy use of AI to depict epic scale locations contribute to my perception that these creators are less interested in making adaptations that impart spiritual teachings for the modern Indian and more interested in flexing their AI design capabilities. All told, the latest crop of spiritual projects are reminiscent of secular films designed to exhibit their high production scale and grandeur. Also, I've noticed that as production budgets have increased for recent spiritual projects, costumes have become more colorful and elaborate than in the past, which isn't inherently bad, but sometimes I find it distracting or illogical. Does it make sense for Ram, Sita, and Lakshman to have immaculate looking hair when they've been living in the forest for over a decade? It looks like they've never stepped outside. I miss the days when the actors would actually step outside and their hair would be a little messy, because that made it all the more real. I felt like I was instantly transported back to an earlier time period when they were actually doing these things. And it's so simple, just going outside. I know there are challenges for filming outside because the light has to be really good, but I think it's kind of better than creating all these massive sets that don't look real. I don't know. Let me know what you think. The upcoming Ramayan is the latest example of an epic scale adaptation, which has yet to be formally released, but from what I've seen from the trailer, this film plays into the exact patterns I'm referencing. It relies heavily on AI, which in my opinion doesn't look that good, and emphasizes the scale of its fictional settings over the characters' facial expressions. I mean, when I've watched the Ramayan in the past, no part of me was hoping I could see the battle sequences in IMAX. I honestly don't know what the point of all of this is. Is it to teach us something new, or is it to flex your AI skills and make a buck off of us because you know that we're gonna go see it? Like, I mean, I wanna see it, but I'm not gonna be happy about it. No, I'm just kidding. The film Krishnavataram looks relatively better to me in its more disciplined use of AI, though when they use it, I still don't think it looks that good, to be honest. I think it's just because AI isn't very good yet at creating these big visuals. But I was happy to hear the music so far. It's pretty, playful, catchy. But one thing I will say is that I find the dance sequences a little too fast and stimulating for my taste. I wish they would slow down a bit so we could appreciate the actors' facial expressions a bit more. But that is a pretty small point. I think that the film is at least going in the right direction. It's not playing anywhere close to where I live, so I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer. But if you have seen the film, I mean, do comment below. Let me know how it is. So, to sum up, I believe that each project, each show, each film needs to be assessed individually, but I think overall trends point to spiritual entertainment leaning into filmy trends, like technically enhanced grandeur and quick, eye catching shots. These shots are pretty, but if used indiscriminately, dilute the bhav of the project, meaning their ability to engender devotion and meditation in the viewer. So, all of this is to say, I hope creators take these messages seriously and prioritize bhav over all else. Based on the most popular spiritual shows to date, assuming it's true, I believe overall, Indians watch spiritual entertainment to imbibe the teachings and feel close to God. I believe that overall, the visual elements of spiritual films and shows are actually low on our priority list. They're nice to have if they positively contribute to the bhav, but it's really easy and tempting to overdo these things and thereby dilute the power of your project. So, if you're thinking of creating a spiritual project, any creators out there watching, focus on what's important, engendering the right bhav in viewers using good writing, acting, and music. Put visuals last on your priority list. It's really good to film things a little slower than in a filmy situation. It helps us process what we're seeing. We want to be able to see the actor's facial expressions. We want to be able to go within after watching something. So when I see the Ras Leela song, I'm not just wanting to get up and dance. I want to be able to go into meditation after I'm done. So it's fine to make things look pretty, but don't sacrifice the things that matter most: writing, acting, and music. Let me know what you think. This video was a little short, but I just wanted to give a quick take based on an overall trend that I'm seeing in this space. I did my best not to dunk on any one project, so I think this is an overall trend that has just been developing over the last maybe 40 years or so, really since these 80s projects came out. I love them because they're very to the point. I feel like they really prioritize the right things, and I feel like I'm going within when I watch them. I think they've done a tremendous job, and I have a feeling that's why people still watch them today. Why do we keep going back to them? You know why. I think you know why. Bhav is the most important thing, and I feel like it's really easy to get that wrong. It's really easy to just be like, let's make this really fun and let's make it really filmy. And it's like, sometimes it's not so helpful to the project. Anyway, I am repeating myself, but this was really fun for me. It was really nice to be able to talk to you sort of like face to face, even though I can't see you. Hopefully, you could see and hear me okay. Yeah, this was a little fun. And feel free to write whatever you think in the comments. You don't have to agree with me, obviously. I'd really like to know what you think, and I love reading your comments. So until next time, thanks so much for watching. Bye!